Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. Thank you so much for all the love on last week's episode, for the love on the reels, all the interactions that have been going down. It's been so cool talking with you guys and kind of seeing how everything is affecting everybody, because each one of these reels, like these little bits and pieces from the episodes that I pull, they seem to kind of hit everybody a little bit different, right? And granted, I was expecting that. It's like, hey, maybe this is going to hit somebody harder. Maybe this is going to hit somebody harder. But from the general sense, last week's episode seemed to really hit home for a lot of people. And that's what this show's all about, is sparking conversations, talking about all these things with you guys, and then you guys taking those little bits and pieces and starting conversations on your own. And then getting to hear what those conversations are about, because I've had quite a few people that have hit me up and said, hey, you know what? I was hanging out with some homies and we ended up talking about your podcast. And for me, it's cool, but it's still kind of weird because I'm not used to that, like hearing it that often. Because for me, I kind of do this and I get in the zone, I record, I upload everything, and then I just kind of set it free. And same thing with the reels. Like I make the reels, I put them up there, set it free. Even with my interactions, like it still feels very isolated. It you know what I mean? Like it's almost like I'm talking to somebody specifically, even though granted, this is on the internet. This is for anybody and everyone who wants to watch, listen. Like I get that, but I still forget it, which I know sounds kind of weird. But for the fact that people are out here, like you guys are out there in the wild, listening to what I have to say, watching me on YouTube, it means so much to me, you guys. Thank you. And I know I keep saying it time and time again, but without your support, I would basically be talking to a wall. So thank you guys for everything, every single thing that you guys do, every way that you guys support, the reposting, talking about it with your friends, family, anybody. Thank you guys so, so much. In this week's episode, I wanted to kind of dive into something that I had been talking about the last few weeks, but I've been trying to focus on doing things that make me happy and trying to get back to a ground zero in a sense of what things actually make me happy. Like what makes me feel good, what places make me feel good, what people make me feel good, because all of that is starting to adjust. And I feel like I just went through a major adjustment period and I'm having to go through another one. And it's so tiresome. Like I get really frustrated and I just get kind of like the idea of having to go through this again is really daunting. And I'm taking it a day at a time, a moment at a time, but it kind of sucks right now, to be 100% honest with you guys. It kind of sucks. I was talking with briefly with a buddy of mine, Kyle, this morning, and he always reaches out. He checks in, and today, I told him, because he always tells me, like, dude, if you ever need to talk or you ever want to talk, just hit me up. And I told him, hey, you know what? Like, I know you've offered this a few times, but I'm going to take you up on it. And, I just started telling him it's just been a lot, and I would like your perspective. Like, everything's been kind of a lot. And I'm trying to figure out how to reevaluate, reassess everything. Because again, I feel like so much in my life is shifting, but I have to look at it a certain way. I have to look at it right now in the sense of like, what can I actually do to make things better for myself? Like, what's in my control? What's in my power? Like, how can I shift things to where my views are of happy things and like of positive things and of good things, good people? So I can only do what's in my power. And last week I had a really cool opportunity. I ran with it, and it was probably one of the best things I could have done for that moment. Like on Friday, a buddy of mine, Sebastian, which I've talked to you guys about before, he has a Jeep. It's really badass, like insanely built. It's like a full-on crawler, which is really cool. And him and his buddies were actually going to go out Friday night. They were going to go to the spot called Pilot Rock. So I've done Pilot Rock before, but this certain trail that we were going to do is very, very different compared to the rest of it. So he had asked me if I wanted to go. And I was like, yeah, man. Like, I had made some plans, and then those plans were kind of like wishy-washy. And it was funny because when I talked to him, he called me. Because we'll text back and forth, but a lot of the times, like, he'll just call me and be like, hey, dude, what's up? Let's talk. So he called me and was like, hey, this is the situation. This is what's going to go down. And let's roll. Plain and simple. And I said, you know what? I got some plans. Let me keep you posted. And I ended up calling him back. I say, hey, you know what? It's kind of wishy-washy. He's like, yeah, fuck those fools. Let's go wheel. so so I said, you know what? You're right. You're right. Why even deal with like a wishy-washy situation when I have something that is positive and is good for me sitting right there, right? So I went to his side, you know. I went right at the fork, and I'm glad that I did. So we get ready, you know, pack up his truck and everything. We start heading out. By the time we get to not the trailhead, but when we got to the gas station that we usually meet up before we go wheeling, it was already getting pretty late. It was like 8:30, almost 9 p.m. So by the time we got to the trailhead, it was probably closer to 9 p.m. And then that's where basically everything started. And so we air down, we get set up, and then we drive up. Like you have to go up like in this little fire road. So as soon as you get up, as soon as you drive in, like you're gonna hit this exact trail like right then and there. And it's called, if I remember correctly, it's called 2N17X, which it's the hardest trail that you can do in that area per se, like for Pilot Rock. Like if you can do this exact trail, like everything else is going to essentially be a walk in the park for the most part. I can't say 100%, but for the most part, depending on your wheelbase and what kind of vehicle you have, if you can get through this, you'll get through everything else without a problem. You know what? Hold that last part, without a problem, because there's still a lot of things that you can still run into that can cause major issues, but for the most part, you can get through it. So we ran this trail. For me, it was terrifying because I've never run this trail, one, period, even during the day. Two, I'm running it at night, and I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. And honestly, it was probably the most aggressive trail that I've done, like here in SoCal. And even with the stuff that I have done myself, I've done some pretty interesting trails, I would say. But have I put myself in situations? Yes. Like this? No. So it definitely tested my limits as far as like where I'm comfortable, what I can do, what I can't do. And I'm really happy that I was able to experience it. One, experience it with him. Two, three, get to see the capabilities of a Jeep that's actually fully built. Because I think for myself, coming from the Toyota side, I mean, of course, there's all these misconceptions about Jeeps and Jeep this, Jeep that. And, you know, there's all kinds of, I guess, like animosity between the two, right? Like Toyota guys, Jeep guys, and they don't really get along somehow. But I get it. I get it. After doing some of the stuff that we did and hitting some of the lines that we did, hitting the hardest lines possible and being able to walk it a certain way, man, it was nuts. But granted, again, his Jeep is very, very well built. Like very, very well built. It's on 39s, full metal cloak suspension. Like it's something to see. It's really something to see, and better yet, to experience. So very lucky. And I was also able to drive it and hit a couple lines, and it was really cool because one of the lines that I hit, Albert and I had actually gone up to this trail, and we didn't do 2N17X, but we did like the rest of Pilot. So basically, if you take, it's a fire road that goes all the way around the lake, and then there's these little offshoots. So we always take the fire road up and then do the offshoots. And there's one that we pulled up on it's pretty gnarly. When you see it, you're like, oh shit, like how am I supposed to get up and through this? They're just massive boulders, super big ruts. Like it's really spooky when you look at it. And I've seen some pretty spooky shit. And so definitely looking at it during the day, put it this way, during the day, it's daunting. So imagine seeing it at night. Like it's even worse. And Sebastian looks at me and he's like, yo, so you're hitting this line. I was like, damn it, dude. And for me, it's not that I didn't want to drive it, but I'm just like, dude, like it's your Jeep. Like I don't want something to happen. Like I don't want to break something, you know, because climbing some of these boulders and doing some of these things, like it's really gnarly. So he's like, no, bro, you're going to hit it. So we go up to this line and he's like, yo, I need you to go dark. And I was like, all right, fuck it. So I went completely dark, shut all the lights off. He had his flashlight. We had our walkies and he's like, I spot you, you know? So I'm literally crawling these boulders that are like a couple feet high and I'm doing it in the dark. Like all I have is his flashlight and him just telling me driver, passenger, driver, passenger. And I'm fucking doing the best that I can. So that was the coolest thing I could have done. Like it felt so good to hit that line, because when Albert and I had talked about it, we literally sat on this offshoot for a couple minutes and we were just like, damn, dude, like looking down, walking down the boulders, like, fuck, like how would we approach this? How would we do this? How would we do this? And it was just this really terrifying thing. And I was always like, man, I hope that one day I can do this. Like, I hope one day I have the confidence and I have the vehicle capable and just like to hit this, you know? And the fact that I did it, granted, it wasn't in my truck, so I do want to go back and do it in my truck. But the fact that I did it was such a cool experience. And I mean, shouts to Sebastian for offering me that experience, because he didn't have to let me drive at any point. And he had been telling me to drive, but I'm like, dude, I want you to get through this. You know what I mean? You get through it. You're confident. You know this, and especially because it's at night. But he has so much confidence in his vehicle and also in myself, because he knows that I know how to spot and I know how to wheel. So he's like, bro, trust me, you got this. I know you can do it. And I just remember getting out of the Jeep when we were done, and he was like, you got it. I was like, dude, we got it. Like, I was so stoked. It felt so good. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I haven't experienced something like that in a while. And I remember one of the last times I did something like that, I was with Albert. We're up at Gold Mountain. And speaking of Jeeps, there was a group of Jeep guys, and we had hit this one part of the trail where you can either go up this massive ass boulder that's like, it's maybe like a little over 4 feet high. Like, it's, when you hit it, like you end up being like down near vertical to get up and over it. But these Jeep guys are right there, and they were talking shit because we were parked up. We were trying to let them go through because there was so many of them. There's probably like 10 Jeeps. So it's like, dude, you guys go ahead and go through, you know, we'll go after. So their guys were hitting it. They took forever. And then they wanted us to hit it. So I started talking shit. So I was like, fuck that. So I went, got my truck, got it, climbed it. And after that moment specifically, that's the only thing I can compare this to, is that Albert was like, bro, we fucking did it. And I was so stoked about that. So having that kind of, just that accomplishment, this moment of accomplishment, like felt so fucking cool. And it was like majorly, I was so tired at this point. Like I was already going downhill. I was wrecked because when I was hitting this offshoot, it was probably about 1 a.m, like 1:30. And they still wanted to keep going. So we kept going. I kept hitting shit. And next thing you know, it's like 3 a.m. And I'm like, yo, Sebastian. And we weren't going to camp, mind you. And for us being out here in LA, like we were way out in San Bernardino. So I'm like, yo, Seb, it's 3 a.m, bro. And he's like, oh shit, dude. All right. He's like, yeah, dude, we gotta get down the mountain, air up, and get back home. So, and granted, it's getting colder out here in SoCal, but out there, it's a different kind of cold. Like being in the mountains is a different kind of cold. So out here, city-wise, we're getting down to like at night, maybe like the high 40s. You know what I mean? Possibly within that. But you're talking about like peak cold. Out there, by the time we got down the mountain and we were airing up, it was like 3:30 in the morning. It was a little over 20 degrees. And for us, like again, coming from the city, going out to the mountains, I was bundled up pretty good. Like I was kind of preparing for that because I had a feeling we were going to finish late. And the fact that we're going into the mountains, like the temp is way, way different. So dude, being out there in a little over 20 degree weather sucked. So every chance that we would just like hook the chucks up to the wheels, jump back in the truck. Just air up, do our thing. Okay, get out of the truck when we had to. Aside from that, jump back in the truck. Dude, coming back was such a struggle. I was like, what in the world is happening right now? By the time I got home, I hit up Rob in the morning, just telling him that, like, yo, dude, I got home safe. I sent him a message at 5:21 on Saturday. And then when he woke up for work and he hit me up, he's like, dude, there's no way that you hit me up at 5:30 this morning that you got home at 5:30. I was like, yes, That's what time I got home, fool. He's like, you guys didn't camp or anything, right? Like, you straight wheeled and then just drove back home. I said, that's exactly what we did. And he's like, oh my God, dude. He's like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know like where to start. He's like, that's insane. But I took the rest of Saturday, recovered. I ended up FaceTiming with Albert about the whole experience, which was sick as shit. But basically the moral of the story, aside from telling you guys about the wheeling experience, was that I did something. I let myself do something that I really love and that makes me happy. And as much as I fight myself on a daily basis, this is the type of thing I need to constantly allow into my life. Is like things that make me happy, things and people that make me happy, that make me feel this type of joy. Because there's been so much negative, so much bad, and like just bad stuff that's been going down, that I need this. I need these moments. And the fact that I had somebody that was next to me, like enjoying it just as much as I was, like that was a gift. Like Sebastian didn't have to tell me about this trip. He didn't have to invite me, but the fact that he did, it was the best thing. And I needed it so bad, you guys, so bad, to get out of my head and just be in that moment. It's been such a long time since I've been able to go somewhere and do something and just be in it. And granted, it's a very stressful situation, like, it's fun, but it's so stressful sometimes wheeling, because you can end up in a really bad situation really fast. Like, we had quite a few situations where we almost tipped over and we almost did this, we almost did that. And it's like, we laugh about it, but we're also like, damn, dude, this could have went really south really fast. And I know for a lot of you listening right now, you're like, damn, dude, how can you find any joy in that? It's tough, but it just makes me happy. It makes me happy to see that, and just to see the geometry of the trucks and like how they move and what they're capable of, and just how sick it is to do something like that. Because you're doing something, put it this way, when you're out there wheeling on these super aggressive trails, you're doing something that I'd say a solid 95, if not higher, % of people could never do. Straight up. This isn't like you can go buy a Tacoma fresh off the lot and go hit a spot like this. Or you can go buy a Jeep straight off the lot and go do something like this. Could you get through it? Probably, depending on your line selection, probably. Is it a good idea? I'd highly advise against it. So the fact that I was able to, again, experience something like this, I love it. And it solidifies the love for what I do, especially on this end, on the off-road side. It's just like, yeah, man, crawling's where it's at. Crawling is where it's at. And I still trip out on the fact that even though Sebastian and I were disconnected for such a long time, that somehow we ended up being in like a similar sport in a way. So it's like, wait, you wheel? He's like, wait, you wheel? I was like, yeah, we wheel. And then turns out that like we wheel the same. Like we have super, super similar styles. Everything's low. Everything is slow, like chill crawling. And then, so it's like, what are the odds of that? So just, again, universal things, man. Sometimes the universe puts these people in your path and you got to you open your arms and you accept it. And I'm so glad. I'm beyond thankful that all of this has gone down that way. But again, moral of that entire experience was that I did something that made me happy. That I said, fuck everything. You know, I don't want to be home and just be sad. Like, I want to be with somebody that I love and that I care for. And I want to do something that I really care about. And it's the best thing. It gave me everything I needed. And it honestly, the way it got me through the weekend was incredible. I took Saturday again, took it easy. Sunday, chilled out. And then there was an event, like a lowrider event that I wanted to attend in Gardena. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know. But I said, no, like, dude, I have been looking forward to this. I've been, keeping track of it for a couple weeks. And then I said, I'm going to go, dude, regardless of whatever happens, I'm going to go. Packed up my gear. I went out there and I shot. And I cannot wait to show you guys those photos. I cannot wait. I didn't take any video because with the amount of time that I spent shooting photo, I didn't have any time to shoot video once I was on my way back, because basically it was down a street. So I shot almost the entire street. I've already edited the photos. I've already gone through selects. So those photos are going to start coming out possibly Friday, if not next Monday for sure. Or next week, I should say, for sure. But I do want to release something on Friday. So we'll see how that goes. The reason why I say is because I have like a certain plan with my content, and I have like certain things that I want to put out first. So I'm just trying to weigh out which one's going to go first. But I'm really excited to show you guys those photos. And that was another example of me putting myself first and wanting to do something fun for me. What makes me happy? And what makes me happy is going to these events, shooting these types of cars, being in this environment, listening to this type of music. It makes my soul happy. It makes me as a person feel complete. As a creative, it like elevates me. It takes me somewhere else. And that's what I need, right? I need more of that. I need focus on that. And coming into this week, I think I needed that more than anything too. Because I needed some sort of like solid ground to walk on. Because I was going to be dealing with a couple things. One, from a personal standpoint, like with my therapy, because I have some updates about that. Two, I have a funeral to attend tomorrow. So on Thursday. And I was just going to be doing somersaults, every single day. And I wanted something to reflect on. And this weekend was rad because I was able to give myself things that I loved. So now anytime I get down on myself, I can just kind of reflect back and have those things. Really quick on my therapy, that whole issue. What ended up happening is, honestly, I don't even fully know if he left or if he got fired or what the situation was. But long story short, my therapist is no longer with BetterHelp. So I was abandoned in that sense, which sucks because I was working on abandonment issues with him. But I ended up matching with another therapist, and she is incredible. She's super sweet, patient, understanding, and insanely smart. Like, the amount of knowledge that she has is phenomenal. Because I would talk to her about certain things. We kind of jumped into it right away. We started jumping into things. And then she would find moments where she could interject and be like, let me break this down. So she'd start breaking down certain things where if I would talk about a situation, she'd say, okay, so da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she did that constantly for 45 minutes. And not that I didn't experience that with my other therapist, but I kind of didn't. My other therapist would let me talk. And granted, she would too, for sure. She let me talk this entire time, but she found these really perfect moments where she could break certain things down. She would break down mannerisms. She would break down certain trains of thought, certain things that could, or, anything like that. Anytime she could provide information, she would provide the information to me. And I think as a therapist, it's something very important to do, because for us as the client, we're going to them for a reason. Because if not, essentially it's just a really expensive, non-judgmental friend. But you want someone to help you, right? You want someone to help guide you through these difficult times, through these difficult things. Because if there's no one who's guiding you, what's the point of it? Again, the point is so that you can gain tools so that you can move and walk forward, because you don't have the tooling. And granted, now I have a lot of tooling. So, and she, even in our conversation from today, our first conversation, she was able to see, okay, you do have tools, and you are growing, and you are changing, and you have changed from when you started. You're just still dealing with a couple of these things, and we're going to get through this. For sure, we're going to get through it. So I'm really thankful to have her right now. I have my next session next Tuesday, so I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. But I was really happy to have a new therapist and to kind of go through this and just to kind of finish this chapter out and see what's going to happen for me next, And another thing that I think is really important is that I had two interesting conversations about the same subject, but with two different people in my life. And I was talking about just the whole idea of like reassessing, and when you, like, the idea of like when you thought you had something figured out, but turns out that you don't, and how life just kind of forces you to face things. And the friends that I was talking to, again, like two polar polar opposites, like one male, one female. One is married with 2 kids and honestly has been kind of doing life on their own. They've had to kind of figure it out. Not that their partner isn't there, because their partner is still in the picture, but I just feel like where they're at, they've had to do the last almost 10 years by themselves. And it's a struggle for them to figure it out. But when I was talking to them about this situation, like reassessing life and like about already having it figured out, and then things kind of get turned on their head, they were just kind of talking to me, and they're a little bit older. Both of these people are older than me, slightly in the same age range. But the first person was just kind of like, look, this is where you're at, and it's okay, because they had something similar happen. They had plans, they had certain things, and then everything kind of fell on its head. They had to kind of pick up the pieces, as broken as they were, put them back together as best as possible, toss the rest, and kind of find something new to build off of. And my biggest thing is, like I was talking to you guys about, is I feel like I've gone through this period of change, even in the last few months, like since July. And the reason why I say since July is because when my uncle passed, that was a big timestamp for me. And I was hyper aware, and I was able to make these changes and see who was in, who was out. And since that point, I made a change in my life. And then here we are, mid-November, and I feel like I'm facing it again. I've come up to a new door, and I'm trying to get it open again, because I thought I had the keys. I thought I had everything to get through it, and I don't. None of this stuff is working. So all my plans, all my emotions, all these things I had set are just completely just obsolete now. And what they were telling me is like, look, as much as you plan, as much as you do, this is kind of where you're at. So what are you going to do? And also on the other side of like having to face things, because the first person I had the conversation with, and I'm trying to be super respectful, like, of this person. I don't want to, do names, the whole thing. Like, I really want to respect their privacy. So that's why I'm trying to do like the them, they, their situations. But when we got to this point, especially having to like face things, it's like, look, this is where you are. You're facing it. You're going to do it. You have the tooling, you have me, you have everybody else around you, and we are going to help you get through it. Right? So listening to that person's perspective, having kids, being married, and doing all these things, and having their plans switch up, I'm just like, oh, so this is how you dealt with it. This is how you dealt with it. And this is how you're dealing with it. Because a lot of these things, they are still dealing with. They're very current situations. And it's like, look, we all go through these like seasons in our life where we're dealt these cards, we're dealt these situations. And it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to give up? You've come this far. You've done this much work. You've put in this much time. Now is not the time to stop. Believe in yourself, believe in your capabilities, and keep pushing forward. And this other conversation is similar in the sense where like this person has 2 kids, but is widowed, and how they had to tap into themselves once again because they were married for such a long time. And tapping into themselves, and how, because we grow, progress, we win, we lose, and rebuild at different rates. And how after their person passed, it was like a really ugly, blunt realization, because the person had to figure out life for themselves once again. And this is where we always talk about this on the show, right? Like we always talk about perspective. And not that I need perspective, but I think constantly having it is a great reminder, because you think you got it bad. You think things are, and it's not to like, how would you say, belittle your problems. That's not what this is about. So please don't take it this way, guys. But there's people who have gone through and have experienced certain things that you would hope to never experience in your life. And this friend of mine that I was having this conversation with experienced losing their person at a very young age. And for myself, I couldn't imagine what that entire process must have felt like. And I remember seeing this person through this process from day one, from getting the call about what happened to their person until today. The progress that they've made is mountains over where they started. And was it a journey? Yes. And again, that's why this whole conversation, it started. And honestly, this conversation with this specific person, it started because of a reel that I posted. And I was talking about just like essentially where you have to kind of like reassess, right? And that's where the whole like reassessing theme came into play. So they were like, dude, you know what you're talking about here is legit. This is all real info. And I'm like, hey, like, I appreciate that. Thank you. You didn't have to reach out and say that. Like, no, I had to because of XYZ, the way it makes me feel, the stuff that I went through, the stuff that I'm still going through. Like, what you're doing out here, Rob, is sick. You're putting the right info out there, man. Like, keep it up. And I'm really appreciative, really, really appreciative that people take the time to listen and to feel and to understand and process all this information that I put out. Because this is my healing journey. This is a very selfish thing, once again, but it's also not at the same time because I want to share it with you guys. Because there's certain bits and pieces that if I would have known a long time ago, I probably would have navigated things very, very different. Very, very different. You know, career-wise, I would have navigated things a little bit differently. Romantically, I would have navigated things a little bit differently. Like I didn't have the tools then, but it wasn't for me then. That's what a lot of what I have to understand and even take from these two very important conversations that I had was that this is where you are right now. This is the hand that you've been dealt. So what are you going to do? Are you going to continue forward or are you going to stop? Are you going to continue living in the past and be sad and just fuck everything off? Or are you going to slowly walk forward? Because it's like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to shut down. It's okay to have these moments where you just cave in on yourself. But there's a certain point in time where when that cave in happens, that you need to start moving the boulders to let the light in. And you need to start walking, even if it's very, very slowly, even if they're the tiniest steps in the world. The matter of the fact is that you are walking and moving and progressing forward. Progression is the key word. And we get so stuck in what's hitting us at the current moment that we forget that there's so much more ahead of us. And sometimes you need the people around you to remind you of that. That's why last week, like we talked about, create and make sure that you believe and that you have faith and that you're investing in this circle of yours. And that those people are also investing in you. Because when push comes to shove, that's all you got. That's where your money's at. Look at where your emotional investments are at. Because if you put them in the wrong places and you turn out, then you need to take out from a certain account. You need to take out from certain things when none of that's there to be returned. Who made a bad call? It's not going to be them. They're not the ones that made the call. That's on you. You got to check on your investments, check on these people, see what's up. And hey, if this isn't working, no disrespect, but I distance myself. I need people who are going to be here for me because there's going to be a time that I call and man, I really hope that you answer the phone because we're all dealing with something. Every single one of us, all of y'all listening, I know we're all dealing with something. So it's not about making your problem seem small, about making my problem seem big. We each have our own ways of looking at everything, right? Perspective, all of that. But this current situation that I'm in right now has really put me on a path where I'm like, okay, I'm rebuilding again. I'm reassessing again. I'm readjusting everything that I thought I had set up because I don't have it set up anymore. It's not what it was. It's not what it was supposed to be. I didn't sign up for this, but that's where I'm at. It's all I got. I don't have another choice. I wake up every day and it's another day. I've progressed. Whether I want to progress, I'm still progressing. So I have my chance to jump on the train and I'm choosing to jump on it. I didn't know I was going to have to do this again, but here we are. And I really hope that something good comes from it because at least even in the past week or so, I'm noticing if I give into that and again, give into the happiness, give into what makes me more myself, that's something positive. If I work towards something good will come of it. The more time that I continue to invest in this podcast, something good is coming of it. And I'm seeing it. And I know I mentioned it to you guys before, especially on the TikTok side. It's really cool to see those interactions. These are complete strangers that are reposting and saving and sharing my videos. And I'm like, what? This is wild. Like some random person in this random place is finding my videos and they're like, yo, what you said is really sick. Like, I agree. And it's not even about agreeing or disagreeing, but it's like having a random person I've never met in my life listen to what I have to say and then be like, yo, this part. And I'm like, whoa. But it's something good. That is a positive investment that I will continue to invest in because it's something great for me. It's something great for people around me. It makes me feel complete. It makes me feel whole. And again, even with the people around me, I'm shifting them up, adjusting my emotional investments like we talked about. And it's nothing personal, but I got to do it. Got to make it happen. Right now's the time. And I think coming up on the holidays, I'm really starting to do more of that because this is a time of reflection for me. And I know I've mentioned that before, but the holidays are always a time of reflection. The holidays and my birthday. So right now is a time to reflect. Who's here? Who's not here? Why, what, when, where, how, all those things. Answer all those questions. And even if they're hard to answer for myself, I still have to answer them because I deserve an answer. And I have to sometimes swallow pills I don't want to swallow and admit things I don't want to admit, but it's okay because it's for the better. It is for the better. And, coming up to tomorrow, like I'm not looking forward to that. Going to Noah's funeral is going to be, it's going to be a really hard start to the day. It's in the morning, depending on how the weather pans out. Cause right now it's been like raining on and off all day. If the weather's okay tomorrow, depending if it's it says it's not going to rain anymore, but who knows? Things can change up. I'm supposed to take my car out there. So I'm going to be cruising out the queue to his funeral. It's just another funeral, another one. It's too many. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know what's going to go down. And I've been sharing stuff on my personal Instagram, regarding his coffin and some photos that were shot that some friends took. And because basically, long story short, for those of you guys who don't follow my personal Instagram or don't know, Noah was a part of a lowrider club called Genocide, and they're based out in the Valley. He had a certain car done up, fully custom paint, insanely badass. And what one of his buddies ended up doing is taking his coffin and completely paint matching it to the car. So they basically replicated his car, but in a coffin form, because that's going to be his final resting place, So just kind of seeing everything and posting has been really surreal because it's like, it's amazing to see something like that. And it's also insanely heartbreaking because at the end of the day, somebody that was looked up to, somebody that was loved, that was cared for in the community is laying to rest. And the way I see it is the least I can do, because he made an impact on me, the least I can do is show up for something like this and stand next to the people who felt the exact same way. Can I share their pain to a certain extent? Do I know what they're feeling? No, I don't. But the least I can do as a person who cared for him, like as an artist, as a human, as a builder, that's what I can offer right now. That is the most I can offer, is just to stand in solidarity and stand next to the people who all felt the same way. So I'm trying to like mentally prepare myself for that. And I know tonight I'm going to do some meditation and just kind of sit and get ready, because I really don't know what I'm going to walk into emotionally. I don't know how it's going to be, but we'll see. And I know it's going to bring up a lot of ugly stuff between the funerals that I've been to, the people that I've lost, the relationships that have come and gone. Like it's going to leave me in a very pensive state, but it's something I got to do. And for a split second, I was like, I'm not going to go. But the moment I thought that, I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Obviously you're going to go. So it was just like a no-brainer, I just had like a split second, like a lapse in judgment, which I'm entitled to that. I think with everything that's been going down, I'm entitled to have a lapse in judgment, but ultimately I know where my heart's at and I know where I need to be. And tomorrow I'm going to be in that exact place of where I need to be and with the people that I need to be with. And the guys that I've spoken to from Genocide, they're just incredible people. Incredible people. It's all love. It's all respect, everything like that. And the people that I've met throughout this entire experience of No's passing, there are things that I'll never forget. So I'm very thankful. And we'll see how tomorrow goes. I'll report back next week with how everything went down. But I don't know, you guys. I think it's gonna be rough. And I know even for another one of my buddies, Albert, one of his close homies passed as well. And his funeral is next week. And that's gonna be really rough too. And I'm going to be spending some time with him this weekend. We're going to take Saturday and just be in each other's company, because I think it's really rough to go through what he's going through. And I couldn't imagine being in that boat. I'm trying really hard to not start bawling my eyes out right now. But I think it's really tough to have to face something like that, to lose somebody that you really love and care for. In my heart's broken for him, for the people who are around him. And I'm just like, man, there's been so much just tragedy and death in the last couple of months of my life that I'm almost losing grip on reality. Is this real life? Is this really happening? Have these many people really passed? Is all of this happening right now? Because it almost doesn't seem real. It almost doesn't seem real. But I think we're doing the best that we can with what we got collectively, and the people that are still around. I know I've definitely grown a larger appreciation for that and for those people. And I take the moments that I can, and whenever I can sit down and have lunch with my mom, I do it. Dinner, same thing with my grandma. Anytime I can spend time with her, I do that, because I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know what's going to happen. And at this rate, it's terrifying. Terrifying. Because I'm almost at a point where it's well, who's next? And I hate thinking like that. I hate it. I fucking hate it. But I'm trying to live my life the best way that I know. And if it's just in pure happiness, then I know that I'm doing the right thing. And I know we always end on some sort of advice or, an idea or something like that. And I read something that I thought was kind of cool, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And it was, I kind of like it when it falls apart, because now I can make it how I want. Once again, I kind of like it when it falls apart, because now I can make it how I want. And I think there's something so cool about that, because it's the truth. It's the truth. Sometimes when things fall apart, you can now put it back together exactly how you want to put it back together. And it's a gift in itself, sometimes, to experience tragedy, to experience these really negative things that impact your life, because you're given a chance to experience something that a lot of people might not get to experience to a certain extent. Granted, we will all experience death to a certain point, but just you experiencing what you are experiencing is a very once in a lifetime opportunity. And what are you going to do with that? So there's a Japanese practice with things that are broken. I think it's a really beautiful thing. But basically what the practice teaches is, for example, if you break a vase, a flower vase, you take those pieces, you put them back together, and within the cracks of the broken pieces, you use gold, you paint it gold, or use actual gold, or however you want to, whatever the reach is that you have, that's what you can do. But what I'm saying is basically in these cracks, to basically have them be golden, to fill them with gold, to paint them gold, because you putting it back together And even though it's broken, it's back together and it's beautiful exactly how it is. And it's different. It is different, but look at it right now for what it is. And I think we get a chance as humans to do that, where we get a chance to put ourselves back together when these really big moments come and they break us down. But we have a chance to put ourselves back together and use gold to fill in the cracks so that when people see us, there's something so beautiful about it. Because you can look at someone and say, wow, like this person's been broken before, but look at them standing as tall as they can. Look at them all back together again. And I know right now I'm in this process of like putting pieces back up and starting, and some pieces, not all of them, I'm starting to get some of the cracks filled in with gold. And I know that one day I'm going to be at a better place and I'll have more pieces put together and more gold and more pieces and more gold. And hopefully one day I'll get to a certain level that I just feel put back together again, that I feel whole. But again, I think getting to experience some of these things and getting to really make things what you want them is an experience in itself. And if you have experienced it, or you are, I wish you the best of luck. If you haven't yet, when you feel like you've come up to this point, reach out to people. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because there's multiple people that want to see you win. We all want to see you win. I want to see all my people make it. I want to see them be happier, healthier. I want them to experience love. I want everybody to just experience positivity. I want rays of light coming from all the people in my circle, all the people around me, all the people who surround me. And I want everybody that I mess with, I want them to radiate and push out the same thing. Because that's what this life is for. It's to radiate light, to radiate something good. Because with everything going on right now in the universe, in the world, why would you not want to be that? Why would you not want to be a beacon of light? You can call me a cheese ball, you can call me whatever you want. This is the truth. Be something good, spread love, spread positivity, spread light. Be that. Be a beacon for that. Be a reason why somebody smiles today. Be a reason why somebody gets out of bed and feels loved. Because you'd be surprised how many people get up and they don't feel that. They don't understand that. And we got to remind them. The same way when I was talking about suicide, right? And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. For those of you who are toying with the idea or have thought about it, I promise you, the world is better. Our world is better with you in it. Your world is better with you in it. Because it's your story. You're supposed to tell it. You're supposed to be a part of it. That's not to put the pressure on you. It's just to remind you, there are people who love you. There are people who care. Even if you feel so alone, I can promise you that you're not. You're not. And I'll tell you right now, if you feel that way at this exact moment, listening and or watching this podcast, I'll tell you, I care about you. I care about how you're doing. I care about how you feel, how you felt when you woke up this morning. And if nobody's told you that they love you, I'm going to tell you, I love you. I hope you're all right. I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you have a beautiful night. Whenever you're listening to this, whatever portion of the day that you're in right now, I hope that it's incredible. And we're coming up to the weekend. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. I hope you guys have nothing but smiles and laughter and positivity and hugs and kisses and everything that life is all about. I hope y'all experience that. And I really hope you take it, because I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you guys for lending me your ears, your hearts, your souls, everything, and giving me your time this week. I appreciate you guys. And I'll never stop telling you that I appreciate you, because I do. Every day, every week, all these interactions, all of it. Thank you guys. I really do mean it. And I will definitely see you guys next week and report back with all kinds of updates, and hopefully they're beautiful and filled with light. And you know what? I'm not even going to say I hope, but they will be. They will be for sure. So I will catch you guys in the next one. I appreciate y'all.